Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday out there. We're at the Overflow office, and sitting next to me, Pastor Jeff Waterman.
Right. Well, hello, Andy. And hey, it's 1 week out of Thanksgiving.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Advent was November 30th, the first day of Advent.
First Sunday of Advent. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're through Thanksgiving. Now we're head over heels in Christmas.
Absolutely true. And I've got to say, a big shout out to everybody who had a hand in turning over our church space. The whole atmosphere, decor, etc., is gorgeous.
Yeah, it really came out super nice. And a lot of different hands to do it. It wasn't like one person. Someone asked me on Sunday, so whose idea was it? I'm like, I think we all, like, the planning team just did it, and we came up with different ideas. And, well, who did it all? Well, this person did that, and that person did that. So a lot of people, a lot of hands, and got done. And looks a lot better than the straight black.
That's right. Yes, for all those who haven't been to our current physical location, we've had a big black curtain basically setting our stage up and whatnot as our background. But now, it's gorgeous with a beautiful wreath. I know your wife had a huge hand in many weeks, in fact, of putting all those things together, ornaments.
Yeah, our living room looked like Hobby Lobby for a while.
Right. Yeah, well, now it looks like a JCPenney's catalog behind our stage, and it's gorgeous. Some other, incredible people that just came on there, and I could name some, but I don't want to leave anybody out, so I'll just say that everybody collectively, lots of great things. And we did actually discuss with our well planning team, which we meet, by the way, every Wednesday. So if anybody out there wants to kind of join in the team, see what the well is doing, we meet every single Wednesday, and we could increase that team. But we had been thinking about Christmas since July or August.
Well, July.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was over the summer when we're all in shorts and playing in the water.
Yep. And
now all the water's frozen.
Exactly. And today, wow, what a beautiful sunny day.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Blue skies, but then with the sun, like even late last night, in fact, I was looking outside when normally it's pitch black out. Right. It was just a week ago, and it was just vibrant outside because all the reflecting of the snow.
Yeah, for sure. Yesterday morning, I couldn't get warm. Right, because it was gray and gloomy, and today it's like I don't even need a coat.
Yeah,
and I don't think the temperature's that much different.
I think you're right. I was thinking about that. Yeah,
it's a mindset. But anyways, we
are
not the Weather Channel.
I know it. We could be wrong 50% of the time then, and still be just fine,
and still get sponsors.
Yeah, exactly right. So there we go. Well, hey, we are overflowing from our Sunday service and having a little bit of fun banter at the beginning of our episode 46.
46.
Yeah, 46.
Oh man, 4 more to 50.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's crazy.
So the Sunday sermon was titled In the Unexpected. The new sermon series, however, is titled Whose Story? Whose story is it? Is it going to be your story that you're living out? Is it going to be your story that you're invited into and moving into and working in? Or is it actually God's story that you're living in right there?
Yeah, I like the title. Because we view the Christmas as a story, right? We have the Christmas story, or we have the night before Christmas story. We have all these stories, right? One of my favorite Christmas movies is A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
So whose story is it?
Right.
And I think oftentimes we feel that it's the world revolves around us, and I've got to write my story. And I think we're challenging that.
Absolutely. And what we're doing is we're breaking up each of these Advent weeks into some different stories. Like, hey, in the unexpected, whose story is it? In the inconvenience, whose story is it? In the recognition of Christ in this particular situation here, is it whose story is it? So this past weekend was whose story in the unexpected, and we were leaning into the theme of Mary and Joseph being told, hey, unexpectedly you're gonna have a baby.
Right. Yeah, she didn't expect that at all. She wanted to live the quiet life. Most of our pictures of Mary, we talked about, is like she got this word when she was in a garden, like, I don't know, doing gardening things, right? So we have this idea that Mary's kind of a quiet contemplative. I think it goes with the song, Mary's song, that we find in Matthew. Like there's this quiet contemplative. Also, when the shepherds show up, it says that she, hid all these things in her heart and contempt. So we have this quiet persona about Mary. Be interesting to see if that's how she really was. Like, she was a mom of multiple kids, and she was a Jewish mom, and they can be pretty, how can I say, authoritative.
That's a good way, yeah.
Which is cool. And then we were talking about Joseph, and we're pretty sure he was like wanting a predictable life, right? Like he's a carpenter. He just,
Yeah.
all right, it's time to get married. I have a wife to be, and we're going to have kids. And this is how my life is supposed to lay out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have this quiet, predictable combination that gets totally interrupted with this unexpected interruption. Right?
Yeah, an announcement or a visit from God himself or the angel of the Lord or any other angel type situation. And we see time and time again throughout the whole Bible history, people that are being confronted by God, their lives are being changed.
Absolutely. I mean, we're both dudes and we were both married, and which means we were both in an engagement process, right? So could you imagine being Joseph? Like all of a sudden, Chelsea or Kathy coming up and say, well, I'm pregnant and you knew it wasn't you.
Yeah.
Like that would be a little different of a moment, right?
Yeah.
like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Especially if you found out after they went away, like to their cousins for 3 months. Like, hey, I'm going to go away to my cousins for 3 months and they come back pregnant. Yeah. You'd be like, well, who'd you hang out with for 3 months?
Yeah, there's that sounds scandalous.
It does. And, so I always step back and go, wow, what was Joseph thinking? Someday when I get to heaven, I'm going to sit down and have, coffee with Joseph and say, tell me about that minute. Tell me how that all went out.
Yeah, for sure. The minute that changed his entire trajectory of his life right there. And so on Sunday, you did mention that, hey, I like to think that perhaps Joseph was just right in agreement and belief of Mary. I love you, Mary. I know you. I believe you. I'm on the other side of that fence where I go, I think he probably needed that angel to tell him, hey, it's actually from God and don't divorce her.
Yeah, I'm sure obviously he needed the angel, but when you look at what was he planning to do when he's described as just, right?
Right.
What he was planning to do was not just. It was a compromise on the law in any way. So
divorcing
her.
So
why was he driven to compromise on the law? Well, it could be that he just loved Mary and he went, well, this law seems ridiculous, which, I mean, we do that all the time, right? Like,
I don't want to kill her.
Like I'm driving down the road and it says 70, but I think it's ridiculous, so I go 80.
For sure.
Right? So we break the law all the time.
2:00 in the morning. There's not a car in sight. Yeah,
sure. The light turns red. There's nobody around. Why not go through?
Okay, I don't know. I always think there's a camera, but yeah.
There is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's this idea of, could be, or he was really trying to figure out, how do I manage this thing that God's actually doing it? But, so, yeah, we don't know. The thing is, we don't know. It's fun to talk about. But we don't know.
Right. So really what we do know is that, again, anytime that God is interacting with a human, that human is going to have a change in what was happening in their lives at that time. Something unexpected.
Yeah. And, if you're dealing with God, he loves to flip your world upside down.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
That's kind of how Jesus, as God himself in the form of man, manifest the Spirit as God. And this is God being manifest as a human being in the form of flesh. Comes down and he's like, hey, I've got an invitation for you. Come and see. And that's a challenge. Change your life. Drop your nets, whatever it's going to be. I'm going to teach you how to do this now.
Well, in Mark 1, when he starts off, one of the verses that we use a lot around here at the well, he starts preaching, and the message is summed up this way. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. The time's come. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. And so it's close. So repent, which means change, and believe in the gospel. So if your life, if you've interacted with the kingdom of heaven, if you've interacted with the King of Kings and your life hasn't changed, I don't know.
Yeah. How interacting are you really?
Right.
Well, in a weird way to say that. Are you really interacting or are you not? Right. Is this being,
how impactful has it been? Have you really done that? So Joseph is that, right? The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Hey, the King of Kings is really coming into your house. And so we're going to change things up. Yeah, you're going to have to marry this gal that was found pregnant, and it's not yours.
Yeah. I like how you mentioned multiple times, you used a certain phrase on Sunday a handful of times, and it was a very simple one. It was this, the divine story. And I like that, right? The divine story is bigger than our own story, because it's of divinity. It's
right.
of a heavenly nature.
Right.
It's of a different kingdom. It's of a different time frame. It's of a different understanding of things. My ways are not your ways, right? You say also the divine story is being written for us. And boom, my thoughts went immediately to some names of God where he says, look, I'm the author of salvation.
Right.
I'm writing out a story.
Right.
I'm the one I'm the author of it, of salvation. I'm the author of time itself.
Right.
When he made this world and created heaven and earth and had it spin and the day is going, the earth goes around a rotation, that's an author of time right there. And he's the author of life. That's another name that he calls. So, hey, do you have a life? Well, he's the author of it. So either you're going to be writing your own story, which is not, it's going against the author, the one who actually is the one who's, yeah.
Yeah, I love to read novels. I love to read like spy novels and things like that. And it would be imagine like if the character of the novel said, "Wait a minute, I'm not doing this."
Yeah, how does that work?
How does that work? Right?
Right.
No, the author is telling the character what to do. He's forming that character, and God has given us this invitation to come into His story.
Yeah.
Right. Come into this divine story that I'm writing for you, and so I often wonder throughout a lot of these stories, but this one in particular, Mary and Joseph, and I think we talked about it on Sunday. Like, what if he said, "Nah"? What if Joseph said, "Nah"?
Yeah.
Not doing it.
Yeah. What if? Well, I mean, it couldn't have been, right? The only reason why I say that is because God knew that he was going to say yes before he even went to him,
Right.
kind of a thing.
For sure. I mean, God is sovereign and understands all that. But, so there are times when I think we have some choice in the matter. And there's some times where God's going to go, no, this is what you're going to do. But in this case, I just think, man, what would have happened if instead of Mary saying at the end, "Let it be done to me, I'm your servant." What if she says, "No, thank you."
Yeah.
Like, hey, I've got a sister. She'd be a good candidate for this.
Yeah. What if, if you want to get really real about it, what if she instead says like, "Hey, I'm going to abort this baby"?
Oh, yeah. Abort God. Wow, is that possible?
I don't think so.
Like that you just took me down a whole nother rabbit trail. But I guess where I was going is far more simplistic than that.
Sure.
And that is, if Mary said no, if Joseph said no, here we are 2,000 years ago, who are we talking about? We're talking about somebody else. They would have lost the ability, they would have lost the opportunity to join in God's story. That he's not just writing for them, but he's writing for all of eternity. He's writing for all of the peoples. Like he says, look, everybody's going to be blessed through this kid, right? He will save his people from their sins. Just how many opportunities are we losing when we don't allow that interruption to take place?
Yeah. Yeah. So they're being invited into this story to have a kingdom impact, and what is required for the story to move forward is surrender.
Right.
They need to surrender, which then begins the story. The same way that for us, as we quote unquote, like we surrender, we humble ourselves before God, and then our story begins, our life anew begins, and he makes us born again to that. And so you were saying on Sunday, yeah, the surrender of us into the story, into whatever God has for us, into that, it's actually what begins that kingdom impact. And then it's the obedience that we have with God that engages the story further.
Right. Yeah, and surrender, those words, right? Surrender, submit, serve.
Yield.
None of us like those.
No.
Right? Like, we're told to fight for our own independence. We're told to discover who we are. We're told to champion our own self. Mm-hmm. And what God says is no. Champion what I have for you. Submit that, surrender that to what I have for you.
Yeah.
Not because I want something bad for you or I'm holding something off from you, but because I want the very best for you. You want to experience life and life in the full, like we talked about last week. Mm-hmm. You want to experience that? Here's why. Surrender your desires, line them with my desires, and man, watch what's going to happen. Watch the impact that could take place. Look at Mary was able to have this impact because she chose to surrender. Joseph was able to have this impact because he chose to surrender. He doesn't choose to do that, and he doesn't get the impact. He doesn't get to engage with the story. He doesn't get to see that working out.
Yeah, there is a very popular story, a very common one told about a certain prophet, a certain person who was commanded to do something by God, and he decided, I'm not going to do that thing. Jonah.
Jonah, yeah.
That went well for him.
Yeah, and then he went fishing.
Right.
Didn't realize he was the bait.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, up on the ship, who was it that angered the gods here? And they, it's him. Yeah, it was actually me, guys. Toss me over, and then your lives will be okay.
Yeah. How'd you like to be part of fish vomit?
Ugh. No, wait.
That's
yeah,
gross.
I mean, the whole thing, the whole story is, it's humbling, right?
Yeah, it is. But you're right. He had and that's a case of where, hey, I'm going to use you for this. And
Yeah.
we talked about, does he have a choice? Does he not have a choice? Did Joseph have a choice? I don't know how the choice and God's sovereignty thing works out.
Right.
Did he ask Joseph because he knew he would say yes, or did Joseph say yes because God made him say? I don't know. I don't know. I don't have to know how it works. I just know that God's sovereign and He's got it figured out, and I just get to decide at some level, how am I going to engage in His story? How am I looking to write my story so that at the end of the day, I'm the center? Or am I going to get out of the center and let God be the center and join Him there? How's that work? What is my role in this?
Yeah, it is a paradox. But so what you're saying is correct, though. What is my role in this? And the thing is, another point that you mentioned on Sunday, this wasn't up on the screen, but it was something I caught on to when I wrote it down. It was that when you step into God's story, you actually have no idea what kind of impact you're actually going to have. The story that you utilized on Sunday was the story of Yai.
Right.
From South Sudan.
South Sudan. Yep.
There you go. Yeah, incredible story. If you guys didn't catch that story, if you weren't there this past Sunday, the diehards were there this past Sunday.
That's right. No rain, no snow, not even the fear of night will keep us from our appointed worship time.
Yes, that's right. And so, catch that back online. The actual date of the service, if you want to catch it on YouTube, it was 11/30/2025. So that was November 30th, this past Sunday. But yeah, you used this beautiful story of a baby. As soon as you arrived into this certain camp, obviously you could tell the story better than me because you lived it. Okay.
Right.
But I just gathered it.
Sure.
You were in the camp, and the first thing is like, whoa, there's a baby that just got born. He's premature. He's only 26 weeks old. Yikes. We got to get this kid to some sort of facility because it's not looking good.
Right.
And they don't have any facilities there. There are no hospitals nearby. But fortunately, you and Kathy were there, and you had the ability to provide what was necessary to transport this child to a location to get him all taken care of. And now we're a year after that
Year
point.
and a half, yeah.
And we're seeing him alive and well and dancing and smiling.
Isn't that
and
funny?
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. And that whole story even goes back even before that moment, right? So years ago, I meet Jacob Atem, a lost boy of Sudan, and he's been after Kathy and I. You got to come over. You got to come over. You got to come over. And what he would do oftentimes, he'd call us in January and say, hey, you want to go to South Sudan? And we're like, sure. When you going? Next month. I was like, I think we need some time.
Right.
But he's South Sudanese, and that's how they think, and he can get over and back and forth. But whatever. So finally, the church says, we want you to have a sabbatical. Well, the first thing I had to do, that both Kathy and I had to do, is agree to the sabbatical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. We had to accept. That was unexpected. We've been at the church for 15 years. We planted the church. I've been in ministry for 35 years now. Never had a sabbatical before. So it was weird, right? It was an unexpected thing. And then so we had to agree to that. We had to allow that unexpected interruption and invitation to come into play. And then we had to decide, well, what are we going to do? Well, maybe now it's time to accept the invitation from Jacob. And then we had to accept which invitation, what time we're going to go, and all that. A lot of things, a lot of decisions of, hey, we're just going to submit this thing to what God's going to do, that allowed us to arrive there on that day.
Yeah.
And here are some American people that have more money than the South Sudanese people could ever dream of. They had no resource to get this child and his mother to the big hospital in the big city an hour away. but we had the resources to hire the appropriate driver, hire the appropriate vehicle to get him there.
Mm-hmm.
All those things you never understood. We never understood what was happening. And we didn't even know the impact until my friend Jacob called me a week or so ago and said, check your WhatsApp. Check it out.
Right. Ooh, that's actually really interesting too. There are times when you might feel led to say or to do something, right? And you just do it out of acting righteously or obedience or whatever. And you might not know what that person then did the rest of their day and how that day was, or maybe the rest of their lives, or 10 years, 15 years later. I've heard a lot of these kinds of stories where like a preacher is doing street preachers that never see the result of what they're doing until 15 years later they go, yeah, I was actually the fruit of something that I heard you saying as I walked by.
Yeah. You never know what impact you're going to have.
Yeah,
And
wow.
And, Paul addresses this when he says, some are planters and some are sowers, right?
Yeah.
Or some are
Waters.
harvesters. Some plant, some water, some harvest. Sometimes we get the benefit or the joy of being all three. We can plant a seed in someone's life, we water it, and then we are able to harvest it. Sometimes all we do is plant a seed and you never know. Sometimes we plant a seed and then we hear about the harvest later. But the idea is, whose story is being written here? Is it your story and you're going to just like protect it for all it's worth? Or are you going to submit what you do to God's writing of his story in your life and through your life? And when you do that, that brings out the abundant life. But understand, and we were talking about this before we started recording, you got to be willing to deal with the unexpected.
Yeah.
You got to be. And then I think you even said, maybe if your life just functions as expected, maybe it's your story and it's not God's story.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not seeing things moving, if you're not being challenged by God into growth, or if things aren't feeling inconvenient or unexpected, and oftentimes unexpected things are inconvenient, and we'll be talking about that in a week or so, or a few days from now, actually. Then take a look at your life and am I actually, where is God challenging me? Am I actually listening, right? Because you have to be able to hear God's voice in order to be able to follow the things that he's asking you to do. And you have to be somewhat of this like willing, open, like, hey, yeah, I'll repent, I'll change, I'll go in the direction that, who's the Lord of my life?
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, me or he.
Yeah.
And
your way or Yahweh.
Yeah, all those little fun tidbits. That's one of my favorite stories, and we covered it in our last problem promise series. Was the story of Joseph, right? I call it Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat after the Broadway show.
Yeah.
But right, that Joseph, not the Joseph of the New Testament.
Okay.
But Joseph starts talking about these dreams he has, right?
Yep.
And he's highlighting how everybody's planets are rotating around him, and then all of their all their sheaves of grain are bowing down to him, and he saw life as he was the center. And I think we all see that we see life through the lenses of, this is my life, I'm the center of it, I'm the point of my life. And it wasn't until Joseph went, no, I'm not the center. God's the center.
Yeah.
God has been working all of this out for this. And then he removes himself from the center and puts God in the center. And that's when he experiences the life that God really had for him. And I think we see that here with Joseph and with Mary. They didn't view themselves as the center. They viewed God as the center, and they were joining him there. And I think if we can do that, if we can come to that point where every day we wake up, we always like to do this, well, what does this practically look like? Every day, if we can wake up and just and ask those questions, all right, God, what do you have for me today? Help me to be open to the unexpected. Help me to be open to the invitation. Help me to be accepting of that. Help me to be submissive and servant to your story, not to my story. Help my story, just have that be our prayer life. That would be radically different than help me get the job today or help me get through this task. It would be a radically different experience if we prayed those kinds of prayers.
Yeah, absolutely. The unexpected interruptions and things like that are just another way of God using a method to get your attention as well. And like in those times, yeah, you could, woe is me, I'm going to go and gripe and groan and I got to take care of this by the might of my own willpower or might, but instead, okay, God, something unexpected happened. What are you saying to me through this? Where are you directing me through this? How should I be responding to this? Let me go into your scripture to try to find some answers. Let me talk to some mentors. And this is the practicality we always talk about. Let me get around a fellowship group. Let me talk to a pastor. Let me figure this out. And God, I know that you're going to give me understanding. That's a gift of your spirit. I know that you're going to give me wisdom and knowledge and the right path forward. That's what you want for me as a good father.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Jesus says the helper's coming and he's going to lead you into all truth. He's going to remind you of what you've already learned. He's going to give you the words to say. Yeah. So, all right, let's sit back and say, all right, God, write your story through me.
Yeah.
I submit everything to you. Not because you've got some punishment waiting for me, but because you have life for me. And the way to find that life is to just live it the way you're asking me to, and engage you in your story that you're writing.
That's really good. So as we're wrapping up our episode here, episode 46, almost in the books, we're looking forward to what it means to be responding to those inconvenient times. This coming weekend, it's the Advent 2. It's our second weekend of Advent. December 7th will be the date here for our Sunday service.
A day that'll live in infamy.
Is December 7th?
It's Pearl Harbor Day.
Ah, okay. There we go. We're throwing some, I wasn't in the history mindset just then, but I was thinking November 5th, the 5th of November. Remember? Right? But no, so December 7th, Pearl Harbor. But we're going to be talking about, the inconvenient time of traveling that happens within the story of Christmas. Mary and Joseph on their way.
Yeah, we're going to look at that part of what must that journey look like when they said, all right, we're going to Bethlehem, right? And it's inconvenient. Not only is there this unexpected interruption, invitation, and the impact you might have, but now to engage in that, it's inconvenient.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's inconvenient.
Yep, especially while you're pregnant and all your stuff is going on.
Pregnant on a donkey, got to walk all the way to Bethlehem, or who knows how many people you know there, and
uncomfortable.
Yeah. And you're 9 months pregnant.
Yeah, in the desert.
I know my wife was like 9 months pregnant, and I don't think putting her on the donkey would be a top of her list.
Yeah, no, exactly. So we'll be chatting about all that this coming weekend.
Sure.
Thanks for listening, folks. If you have any questions about the service, about what was spoken about any of our Sunday services, please do reach out. We've got a way to get involved. But it is, the Overflow here, wrapping up another episode.
That episode is in the books. Thanks for tuning in, and have a very Merry Christmas.